Well, the Democrats have folded. The Democrats have agreed to give the Republicans the vote they need to reopen the government, and a lot of people are mad, in particular at Chuck Schumer.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Welcome, family, my brothers and my sisters. How are you all doing? I don't know why this wire is here. How you guys doing this evening? Okay, shout out to you. Oh, hold on. 1 second. This wire is here. You know, tech guy got a lot of wires all over the place. How you guys doing? Okay, shout out to every single last one of you all. We're gonna have a good one. I'm your brother Afro Elite. We're gonna have a conversation about the government reopening. A lot of people are upset about that. In particular, the Democrat Shills. They're mad. They're furious because they thought that this was going to be the win, the victory that they were going to have over the Republican Party. They really did think that, but unfortunately, it did not turn out that way. 8 Senate Democrats decided to vote to reopen the government, which foiled their whole plan and really exposed the fact that it was the Democrats who had the government closed in the first place. And if you knew, you already knew that, but it exposed that to the public. So now their lies have been foiled, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that. But before we do, I would greatly appreciate you guys hitting that like button. Okay, now they allow me to hit the like button thing now. They're finally allowing me to do that, but that's cool. That's good. Y'all hit that like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell, and leave a comment. All right, y'all can do that right now because we're going to play the copyright disclaimer that establishes to YouTube that everything we play thus forth is protected under the guise of fair use. I will be right back. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Before we get started, let me explain what the shutdown was for and all of that, because a lot of people, it's a lot of names that you hear of all the time, names that you really don't hear of. So I'm going to explain it all for you all. The thing is the Republicans in the Congress is made of 2 parts, okay? Made of the House, made of the Senate. House, Senate. Now, in the House and the Senate, both parties have leaders in the House and the Senate. Okay, now if they're in the majority, which means they have most of the seats in the House, they're the majority leader. If they're in the minority, they're the minority leader. Same goes with the Senate. Minority leader in the Senate, majority leader in the Senate, minority leader in the House, majority leader in the House. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been. The Republicans, as we know, are the majority in Congress. This is the fact. Now, which means they can almost get away with pretty much what they want to. But because of what is known as the filibuster is kind of like a mechanism, is a fail-safe mechanism that prevents any political party from having absolute control over the government. So whether they have Congress, even if they have most of the seats, the opposite party, the minority party, that could be the Democrats, that could be the Republicans. In this case, it's the Democrats. Because the fact that the Democrats are the minority, the opposite party can use the filibuster, which is pretty much an endless debate and endless talking and all that to prevent things from passing. So what the Democrats have done is they decided to use the filibuster in order to prevent the government from opening up. They said, well, we're not going to pass this resolution. And even though we know that means that the government is going to have a complete shutdown, but we're not passing this resolution until what we want gets put on the bill. That's what they said. And they have manipulated and they have used the media and they've talked to everybody and they've said, you know what? It's the Republicans who are preventing the government from reopening. They're weaponizing SNAP. They're weaponizing WIC. They're weaponizing federal employees being paid. They're weaponizing the livelihood of American citizens. This is what they're doing to attack you guys. But after the election of, the recent election, and this is what I suspect, they said that they had a sweeping victory a landslide victory, but they were all in blue states. But after the elections that happened with Mandani and all of that, and Mandani won his little election and all that. So after that, they were all like, okay, well, now we can feel safe to reopen the government. They've been wanting to reopen the government, but they just wanted for a very safe time to do that. So after the election of Mandani and all of the other Democrats who won their seats, they said, okay, well, we can reopen the government. Now, the leaders, I'm going to explain their role so that way we all know what we talking about. The leaders of the party, whether that's the Senate or the House, they're the ones who are supposed to be in control of how the rest of the party votes. Everybody in the party is supposed to be in alignment, in lockstep behind the leader. So you shouldn't be able to make a deal. You shouldn't be able to vote on something if you don't have the leader's approval. Or if you don't want to vote on something, the leader has to make you vote. Not make, even though it's make, they have to negotiate. Let's say that. They have to negotiate for you to vote for something. This is Chuck Schumer's job. He is the minority leader in the Senate. So Chuck Schumer is supposed to make sure that all of the Democrats are in lockstep behind what the Democratic Party wants, and everybody is following behind what the Democrat Party wants. But you've had 8 senators who decided to vote in favor of reopening the government with the Republicans, and a lot of people are mad at Chuck Schumer about it. They're very upset because they feel like Chuck Schumer should have held the line. Now, I'm going to play some clips. You've had senators, and I first off, I want to thank you guys for your patience. StreamYard's been going through a little technical thing, so I've had to play with it a little bit, but we're here. So I'm going to play some clips. Now, you guys remember Bernie Sanders. We got to play some clips about some Bernie Sanders now. Bernie, Mr. It's unfeasible. Reparations is unfeasible. Sanders. So why is this thing doing that? Bernie Sanders, he was very upset. He was very upset about the government reopening. This is what he had to say.
What this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. When you throw 15 million people off health care, some 50,000 of our fellow Americans will die unnecessarily every single year. Anyone think that's funny? Something to laugh at? Something to just go past? I don't. 50,000 Americans die unnecessarily. If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. In my state of Vermont and throughout this country, for certain groups of people, it will be a tripling and a quadrupling of their premiums. You get 100 votes here in the Senate. Won't mean anything because the House is not going to take it up, and the President of the United States certainly will not sign it.
Oh, Bernie with that passion. Bernie has a lot of passion, doesn't he? And he's a man of the people. A lot of people assume he's a man of the people, right? But everything he says, I take with a grain of salt, because I remember when Bernie was asked about reparations, and I'm playing this clip to establish you guys, give you guys a good reminder, none of these people are allies to the black community. And if let me say something. I'm going to say something. I know y'all going to agree with me when I say this. I'm going to be abundantly crystal clear. I'm going to say something, and it's going to be my stance for the rest of my life. If you're not an ally to foundational black Americans, you're really not a good person. That's my stance on it. If my stance is, if you're against us, you're really not a good person. That's how I put it. Okay. Leave a 100% emoji if y'all agree with me. That's how I say it. Okay. What we need is what's in the best, not only in the best interest of ourselves, but it's also in the best interest of the country, in the best interest of the world, in the best interest of humanity. So if you are against us and what's in our best interest, even though that's in the best interest of humanity, can you really be considered a good person? I don't think so. This is what Bernie Sanders had to say about reparations. Well, why he's so mad about health care.
Question specifically, my black son, okay, I know you're scared to say black, I know you're scared to say reparations, because it seems like every time...
Ma'am, I don't think that's a fair
I'll let you
statement.
finish as well, but it seems like every time we talk about black people and us getting something for the systematic oppression and exploitation of our people, we have to include every other person of color. So today, can we please talk about specifically black people and reparations?
We can talk about what I just indicated, in my view, is that when you have, and you and I may have a disagreement on this, because it's not just black, it is Latino. There are areas in America, in poor rural areas, where it's whites, okay? So I believe that in a country which has more income and wealth inequality than any other country, that yeah, the time is long overdue to start investing in poor countries. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth, especially within the African American community. So what I've said black 50 times, all right? That's the 51st time, all right? But this is a...
Well, he technically did not say black. I'm gonna let it play again. Technically, he didn't say black. He said African American. That is what he said technically. Let's be very clear. That's what he said. And every time he says it, notice that they'll say, well, I say black. I'm not afraid of saying black or African American, even though we don't go by that term anymore, because that term means pretty much everybody. Obama's an African American. Myron Gaines is an African American. Technically, Elon Musk is an African American. So come on. What are we doing? But even if he did say black, let's say he said that, he also immediately followed up with, it's not just black. Well, he did say, I guess he did say black in the sentence of, it's not only black. So anytime you mention black, it's always to mention other people. Well, black and black with, black people with is always that, black and brown, black and minority, people of color. Now, when he mentions Latinos, immigrants, poor whites, LGBT, all of these other groups of people, they get their own time. They don't have to be included. They don't have to be so inclusive to other people's issues, to other people's causes, and other people's problems. We do, because we gotta understand that it's not just us. We're not the only people going through a hard time. Now, when they talk about ICE, deportation, immigration, anybody else's issue, nobody says when the conversation is about immigration or ICE, do they say, well, let's be honest, ICE isn't, immigrants aren't the only people who have to go through anything. Oh no. The conversation stays strictly and firmly on ICE, and you can't change the conversation, divert it, switch gears, nothing. It's on ICE and immigrants and the poor families. But when it comes to reparations, well, hold on now, everybody kind of poor. I mean, my pockets could be a little fatter too. Now, can I get some reparations? Now, what's interesting is that Bernie is a part of Ben Shapiro's community, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Bernie be wearing small hats. Okay. Now, Bernie doesn't have anything against his people getting reparations, just the same way Ben Shapiro doesn't have anything against his people specifically getting reparations. You're not going to hear Bernie Sanders being all like, well, my people, they're not the only poor people. They're not the only people who've been through struggle and hardship and a Holocaust. They're not the only people who, no. When it's his people, oh, that's where the subject starts and stops. Nope. Not when it's us.
A national issue, all right? So what we want and what I believe we should do, all right, is to invest most heavily in those communities most in need. And when you have 35% of black children living in poverty, when you have half of the kids in this country in public schools on free or reduced lunches, when youth unemployment in the African American community is 51%, Those are exactly the kinds of communities that you invest in.
Mm-hmm. Invest. No tangible. That means no tangibles. When they say invest, they mean no tangibles. That means opening up a park. Okay. That's what that means. That means putting up some new streets, fixing up some potholes. That's what that means when they say invest. Okay. And I want you to understand the word invest can literally mean anything they want it to mean. This is why we're so specific about reparations. And we're specific about what reparations entails. Reparations entails a cash payment, as well as other things, but first and foremost, the cash payment. Because when you say reparations is just making somebody feel good or quote unquote repairing the damage without a cash payment, then that just opens the door for anything and everything. Okay. Then investing in a school is reparations. Investing in a church is reparations. Fixing a pothole is reparations. That's what that means. Okay. Cutting down an old tree is reparations. That's what that means when they say, well, we're going to invest. So we're going to put a new slide there. We're going to oil up the swing so it doesn't squeak when they swing back and forth. Okay. We're going to put some monkey bars there. We know you guys like the monkey bars, don't you? But, we're going to put some new monkey bars there, and that's investing in the community. That's what they're going to do. We're going to invest, and here's another thing, that we're going to invest in the community by giving more money to the police, because that will make you safer. So that's an investment in the community. Do you understand where that can go, and why we don't stop the conversation as quote unquote investing in the community, which on its face, on paper, is a good thing. Putting up a new street light, that's investing in okay, these are good things. These are not things that are going to be generational, beneficial, tangible things that we can pass down to our grandchildren. No, that's the point. That's what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent generational benefits. So their investments are going to fade out. So the benefits of whatever they invest in, we're not going to be seeing the fruits of that come the time our children are of adult age, or your grandchildren or whoever are of an adult age. They're not going to see the fruits of that tree. This is why we say we don't want the fish. Give me the fishing pole. Give me the net. I'm a fish. I know how to fish. I'm a fish. Give me the fishing pole. Give me the net. Give me a boat. Let me do what I got to do. Give me the worms. Let me do what I got to do. Okay. I'm going to go out there. I'm a fish, and I'm going to just keep on fishing. But they are like, no. I can give you a fish. I don't want you to give me a fish, because then I'm going to need something to eat tomorrow. Give me the net, the boat, the fishing pole, the worms, whatever bait, all of that, the lure, all of that stuff. Give me all of that stuff, okay? Give me a flashlight, a bucket, give me all of that good stuff. And I'm going to go get the fish. This is why when we talk about our community, we're very specific. We're very on point, okay, and precise about our demands. And I want you to understand that. That's why when you hear the Democrats talk about, well, we need more investment. No. That's not what we asking for, because we already know what y'all definition of investment means. Okay. So, but that's Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders has some things you already know. I showed you he was disappointed about the reopening of the government. He had this to say. He was on an interview and he had this to say. We're gonna play it. Okay, hold on. Here it is.
Morning, friends, and a warm welcome back. I'm Errol Barnett as we both look live at the Capitol Dome. High temperatures there will only hit 45 degrees today, so it's chilly. But inside, lawmakers are warming to the possibility of reopening the government. And that's where our government shutdown edition of today's top stories begin. The Senate approved a funding package last night, sending it to the House. Lawmakers there could vote on the bill as soon as tomorrow afternoon. And with a GOP majority, it is expected to pass. Flight cuts at the busiest airports in the country will ramp up today from 4% to 6%. This is due to a mandate from the FAA, which is concerned about safety and the air traffic controller shortage. And even though it looks like the shutdown may end soon, there are concerns about delays lingering even after people start getting paid again. But some more progressive lawmakers are frustrated with the 7 Democrats and 1 independent senator who voted with Republicans. CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns spoke to Senator Bernie Sanders, who called the shift a disaster. She also spoke with him about criticism of Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Do you think he should be replaced?
By whom? Well, that's the point. The question is if somebody, look, again, Schumer's views are very different than mine. He is an establishment Democrat, no secret. I am not. I hope that by electing new members of the Senate, we will have, in fact, new leadership. But right now, it is what it is.
CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill with the latest on this. Good morning, Nicole. So as we mentioned there, progressives are upset at the moderate Democrats over this deal, but those moderate Dems in the Senate would have known they're going to take heat for this. So where does this leave Democrats as a party?
Yeah, well, I think let's back up for a second here. I mean, obviously, in terms of the moderates, their big thing was they just did not see that this was sustainable. And so that is why ultimately they decided to break ranks with the party. There has always kind of been this moderate progressive divide within the Democratic Party, but the Republican Party for that matter, too. Neither party is a monolith. But, in terms of progressives, I think the issue is,
now, here's the thing, and this is so sneaky, and I played it for you guys to let you guys know they're all in alignment. I want you guys to get that because they're lying. All of them are lying. The Democrats, what they're doing is that, well, the 8 senators that actually voted to reopen the government, they're really not Democrat like that. They're really more moderate, okay? They're really more centrist. They use the words moderate and centrist to give some type of separation from them and the average Democrat. No, the reason that they were picked is for a very simple reason, is because they don't have any re-elections coming up soon. So they had to be the sacrificial lamb to reopen the Democrats with Chuck Schumer's approval, because he could have stopped it if he wanted to. Chuck Schumer gave them the nod and had them go out there and pretty much be cannon fodder so the government can be open. And this is what the Democrats do. I'm going to give you guys a reminder. This is the same thing that Gavin Newsom did when Gavin Newsom blocked reparations, when they had those 2 reparations bills last year, right before the election. And the bills were done, and they didn't want to put it on the floor, and they didn't want to put it on the floor because Gavin Newsom didn't want to have to veto it. So Gavin Newsom told the Black Caucus not to allow the bill to pass. So the Black Caucus sat there and sat on their own bill and killed their own bill. So Gavin Newsom can have plausible deniability and say, hey, it wasn't me. The bill never reached my desk. I would have signed it. If it was up to me, I would have signed the bill, but the bill didn't reach my desk. But Gavin Newsom, being the leader, he gave the nod and he told them, hey, don't let this bill be on my desk. And he sacrificed the Black Caucus so he can protect himself. This is the same thing. This is what the Democrats do. This is the same thing that Chuck Schumer did. Chuck Schumer said, hey, since y'all don't have no re-elections coming up, y'all gonna have to go out there and y'all gonna have to bite the bullet. Y'all gonna have to take one for the team, okay? And I'm gonna say I didn't agree with it the same way Gavin Newsom said he didn't agree with it. And the government's gonna be reopened. That's why. And even Bernie Sanders knows that. That's why Bernie Sanders all like, well, it is what it is. Now, Bernie, you was doing all of this hooping and hollering and yelling. Let's circle back. This was Bernie Sanders.
What this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. When you throw 15 million people off health care, some 50,000 of our fellow Americans will die unnecessarily. every single year. Anyone think?
They will die. This is hellcat. I can't believe this. He was mad. And then this is him. Now he's all like, yeah, it is.
I hope that by electing new members of the Senate, we will have, in fact, new leadership. But right now, it is what it is.
Right now, it is what it is. These people are performative. I'm playing these receipts to let y'all know these people are really performative. They lying about that. They will get up there in front of Congress because they know the camera's there. They will hoop and holler. This is unbelievable. I can't believe you're doing that. Then in front of an interview, they'll be all like, nobody to blame. Things happen, I guess. Let me show you somebody else who did the exact same thing, just to let y'all know that we're ahead of the curve and we know the Democrats are playing this game. Now they have a whole bunch of performative people on Congress, on the Congress floor, hooping and hollering and making it seem like they're so outraged, but turns out they're really not. AOC did the exact same thing, and AOC and Bernie are like this, apparently. So this is what AOC had to say about it.
Massachusetts.
I inquire how many more speakers the gentlelady has, because she doesn't seem to have very many.
I believe we have one more, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. All right. We have several. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from New York, Mr. Ocasio-Cortez.
The gentlelady from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
It is great. It is great that Democrats have a line of people who are willing to fight for working class Americans from coast to coast in this country, because God forbid that we have a member of the Republican caucus who stands up and actually wants to extend the Affordable Care Act so that people with cancer, insulin, and issues across all sorts of healthcare issues across this country have their health insurance protected and extended throughout 2026. It is unconscionable that what we are debating right now is legislation that will give 8 members of the United States Senate over $1 million apiece. And we are robbing people of their food assistance and of their health care to pay for it. How is this even on the floor? How can we, as members of Congress, Republican or Democrat, vote to enrich ourselves by stealing from the American people? That is what this legislation does. In fact, Senator Graham just went before the press earlier today saying he was going to seek well over $1 million from the American people from this. We cannot support it, and we cannot stand for it. Thank you.
All right. Oh, you hear that passion. This is unconscionable. This is outrageous. This is terrible. Now, you would think this was what she had to say before the government reopened. You would think she would be outraged. You would think that. But, of course, this is what she had to say in response to the government being reopened.
The Olympics time has expired.
We have federal workers across the country that have been missing paychecks. We have SNAP recipients, millions of SNAP recipients across the country that, whose access to food stability was imperiled. And we have to figure out what that was for, because you had both the capitulation in the Senate and you have the refusal and the outright cruelty among House Republicans and the White House, who went to court to try to sue for their ability to deny people's access to food. This is the reality that we're in right now, and we need to act like it, and we cannot enable this kind of cruelty with our cowardice, period.
Congresswoman, should Chuck Schumer stay as minority leader?
I think what is so important for folks to understand is that this problem is bigger than one person, and it actually is bigger than the minority leader in the Senate. You had 8 Senate Democrats who coordinated their own votes on this, as well as you have 2 retiring members. Many of them were up in our.
Now, I just want to pause it. Hold on. Let's pause it real quick. Notice all of this. I'm outraged. I can't believe that this is wrong. I'm mad. This is unacceptable. That's what they're saying. Do you think that Chuck Schumer, which is kind of like her boss in a way, you think that Chuck Schumer should be replaced? And then she goes, well, hold on, wait a second. I'm not saying all of that now. That's not what I meant. It's not his fault. It is his fault, but she's not going to say it's his fault. The same way Bernie Sanders ain't going to say it's Chuck Schumer's fault. These people, they get up there and they're on Congress. I can't believe it. This is unconstitutional. Millions of people will die from lack of health care. No one will be able to afford this. This is a crisis. Well, that means that Chuck Schumer allowed it, so he should go, right? Well, hold on. I think that it's not his fault. It's not all his fault. It's just, it's the other people. Let's not get too hasty with it. I don't want to overreact. Let's not do that. The same way Bernie Sanders acted about it is the same way AOC is acting about it, which shows you it's not a coincidence, which shows you this was the play the whole time. The Democrats are not going to really be outraged. They're not going to make any transformative changes over the shutdown. They're not really feeling betrayed by Chuck Schumer or the 8 senators for real. All of this is theater to make it seem as if there's difference in the Democrat Party. The Democrats were fighting for the people, and these 8 people, they went off code, which was really the code the whole time. This was a phase in their plan the whole time. And now the Democrats are making it seem as if, oh my God, how could this happen? You voted against the party's interests. Wink, wink. That's what they're doing. We see the play. We see it. AOC and Bernie Sanders doing the exact same thing.
Also up in several cycles from now, with the hope that people are going to forget this moment. And I think what's important is that we understand that this is not just, a leader is a reflection of the party. And Senate Democrats have selected their leadership to represent them. And so the question needs to be bigger than just one person.
She says a leader is reflective of the party. That's backwards. Because team reflects leadership. The team isn't, the leader isn't the reflection of the team. I guess you can make that argument, but the team is supposed to be the reflection. I mean, the team is the reflection of the leadership. The leadership is not the reflection of the team. If that's the case, the team is the leader. Okay? So if Chuck Schumer is the leader, the team should be the reflection of Chuck Schumer. So if Chuck Schumer was supposed to hold the line, the team is supposed to hold the line. If the team is going wishy-washy and they know, and Chuck Schumer knows about it, then that means Chuck Schumer is wishy-washy. But she doesn't want to say that. That's her boss. She's not going to say that now. So that's why, well, she's like, well, no, it's not them. It's a bigger issue. It's not one person. So notice that they're doing this thing where they're mad at people, but the Democrats are always mad that people are saying things, but they never point to who to blame. And the reason why they don't point to who to blame is because they can, if they point to who to blame, they would have to address the person and solve the problem. So it's all this mysterious, ambiguous boogeyman enemy who's against the party, and they can never really pinpoint who should be to blame. Anybody would think if the team is failing, I want you guys to use this analogy. If you're playing a sport, basketball, football, whatever, you're playing a sport, one team is losing after losing after losing after losing. Now, you could say it's the players on the team, but who's going to be the first person that they look at? The coach. They're going to look at the coach of the team. Basketball, football, baseball, whatever the case, I don't care what sport you're in. They're always going to look at the coach of the team, and they're going to say, well, it might be the players, but the coach, if the coach is messed up, because the coach should be making sure the players win. And if the players don't win, then it's the failure on the coach for making sure the players don't win. That's the way leadership works, right? So if the team is losing and losing and losing and losing, and the coach, everywhere the coach goes, the team loses, are you going to say it's the team or the coach? It's the coach. But here's the thing. They don't want to say that it's the coach because they're all in on it. They wanted to lose. They were always going to give it up. Do you understand how much money? Let's think about this. It's November. We're going into the middle of November. Thanksgiving is coming up. Black Friday is right after Thanksgiving. After that, then we have a whole bunch of people doing Christmas shopping if they're not doing it already. Christmas is a huge holiday as far as consumers and all of that. Christmas is coming up. Right after Christmas, you got New Year's. All of these holidays, these are the major holidays. Do you understand how many billions of dollars are made during the holiday season? These stores, whether they're jewelry stores, whether they're toy stores, all the toy stores, jewelry stores, car manufacturers, people give cars for gift, electronics, whether that's phones, TVs, tablets, headphones, watches, all of these merchandise, all of this merchandise, clothes, all of this stuff. Do you have any idea how much billions of dollars are on the table? These people make most of their money they make in this last quarter of the year. Most of it. Think about the flights. Do you know how many billions of dollars are made just within the last quarter of the year on people going to vacation, people flying in to see their family, people flying from the north to the south for warmer weather and their vacation homes and things? You have any idea how much money is made with that? Do you have any idea how much money is made with resorts? And in just these last two months, not even the last quarter, last 2 months, resorts, hotels, people going on vacations for the holidays. Just those two things. Y'all think that the Democrats want the government to be shut down? Do y'all know how much money is on the table? How much money lost? Oh, no. They were always going to reopen the government. Because these people who own these hotels, these people who own these flights and airlines and things, they're going to call the Democrats and they're going to say, hey, if y'all want a donation next year, y'all need to get this government reopened because I'm losing a lot of money and I don't like that. So I need you to reopen this government now. And they're going to do it. They were always going to do it. But they wanted to wait until after the elections, when the mayoral election and the gubernatorial election. They wanted to wait till after the elections because they knew if they reopened before, the party would be mad. They knew that the citizens would be mad, and they leveraged people being upset about the government shutdown, and they said, it's Trump's fault. Trump is the reason the government is shut down. So you guys got to vote for us because the government shut down because of him. And then right after he got elected, then they reopened the government. That was the play the whole time, y'all. It was the play the whole time. And AOC and Bernie Sanders knew about it. That's why she's not calling out Chuck Schumer, nor is Bernie.
The question needs to be bigger than just one person. We have several Senate primaries this cycle. I know I'm being asked about New York. That is years from now. I have to remind my own constituents because they think that this election is this year. We actually do have Senate elections this year. And my hope is that people across this country actually participate in their primary elections in selecting their leadership. Thank you.
See that? But here's the thing. The Democrat Shills, they don't get it. See, we get it. We understand it. We're smarter. The Democrat Shills, they're outraged. They're furious about the government reopening because they actually had, for whatever reason, faith in them. They had faith that the government, that the Democrats were telling the truth and were actually fighting for the working class people. They actually honestly believe that for whatever asinine reason. But this is what they had to say. Lord have mercy.
Democrats made a deal to open up the government, which will basically...
And I want you to see, this is the average Democrat supporter.
Democrats made a deal to open up the government, which will basically bring us back to where we're at right now. Like, they made the deal to vote in order to open back up the government and continue SNAP, but they're just going to be able to vote on the Affordable Care Act in a month. That's the promise that they were made in order to open up the government again. So basically, the Democrats are folding in this situation. They're basically like, yeah, well, the Republicans keep saying that the Democrats are at fault for this, so we're just going to cave and we're just going to sign it. But you guys have to pinky promise that we're going to vote on the Affordable Care Act later on. But that will just bring us back to this same point where we're at currently, and then the government shut down and we can't do anything because they can't come to a decision on something again. You know what I mean? Like, they basically just extended it for us to be brought back to the same exact place. And that's what I mean when I say that the government is all one entity. Like, they all do things for one another. It's all one thing. Like, they realistically have the same agenda in mind in the end. Like, that's genuinely how I feel. For real. Like, it just feels like, yeah, they show us that there are two different parties, but realistically, they all kind of work together and intermingle and do the same things and have the same goal in the end. That's what it appears to be sometimes.
Oh boy, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. But yeah, they upset about it. They actually believe that these were not two wings on the same bird, two sides of the same coin. They actually didn't believe that. And I'm talking about they are upset. Look at this one.
After 40 days of fighting for our subsidy.
Look at the character of the men, quote unquote, that are outraged about this.
After 40 days of fighting for our subsidies, we got a pinky promise, what a gut punch. The 8 dumps caved and then they f***ed our families. And that's the way they all became the bitch ass bunch. The bitch ass bunch. Bitch ass bunch. That's the way they became the bitch ass bunch.
Okay, that's I'm not gonna put you guys through any more of that. I think that's enough. Okay, if I give you guys any more of that, y'all phones is gonna stop working. Okay, your screen might be cracked now. I apologize for that. I should have put a disclaimer there. I'm gonna have to start doing that. Okay, let me be a little bit more responsible. I'm gonna put a disclaimer there next time I show you guys something like that. But I want you to see the people who are outraged about that. Also, moving on. Stephen A. Smith had something to say about it. Stephen A. Smith was very upset about it. This is what Stephen A. Smith had to say.
Representatives from Pennsylvania, from Nevada, from New Hampshire, etc. Okay? And their constituency, their voters are really, really feeling the pinch. What? They're just supposed to go along with the other 39, 40 plus Democrats in the House and say, yo, we just gonna let our own constituency suffer over something like this, over people being fed, over people paying bills? That's what they're supposed to do? I don't get it. But Ro Khanna, Representative Ro Khanna, he didn't mince words. He didn't dance as much as AOC just did there. He was a bit more direct. Griff, play cut 2.
You've called on Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to step aside. You say he's no longer effective as a leader. Explain this for our viewers, because he did vote against this compromise that you oppose. Why are you mad at him?
Jake, you've covered politics a long time. Yes, he voted no, but 8 senators who said they consulted him daily go and vote yes. One of those people is his number 2. He's not going to do that without Senator Schumer's sign off. And then conveniently, all 8 of those senators aren't up for re-election in 2026. This is the DC way. Senator Schumer could have blocked this if he had wanted to. And one of the challenges is, in addition to the healthcare premium spikes, it undermines the narrative that this was a Trump shutdown. If 8 Republicans, 8 Democratic senators could have ended it. We should have kept the pressure on.
Did you hear that? They should have kept the pressure on. By not doing so, it gave depression and undermined the narrative that this was a Trump shutdown, which essentially is the Democrats admitting that the plan all along was to make this look like a Trump shutdown. Therefore, it could be politically expedient, and they can gain traction and gain some favor with the voters out there with the midterms coming up.
You're about to start
because
yelling.
That's what this was about.
He's about to start yelling.
Nobody's fooled here. And I'm not even saying it's a faulty strategy on the part of the Democrats. What I'm saying is, damn, what the hell were you doing to find another way? See, this is where I come back to. This is where Stephen A. Smith comes into play. Because what pisses me off to no end is that had you done your job prior to the election, this wouldn't have been necessary. Had you paid attention to the economy, had you paid attention to affordability, had you paid attention to safety in the streets, had you paid attention to our borders instead of having open borders, allowing Trump to make it look like we were being invaded, for crying out loud, because of the extreme with which he embellished illegal immigration being pervasive in this country. Had you focused on that and the real issues, instead of focusing on woke culture and cancel culture and making sure everybody echoed the right pronouns and making sure everybody marched lockstep in parroting your speech, you'd have won the damn election. Had you made sure that Kamala Harris and the Democrats as a party wasn't able to circumvent the democratic process and actually went through a primary by getting Biden out of there when you knew he wasn't suited for 4 more years, instead of holding on for dear life until he had a debate on June 27th, knowing that he would leave office 3 weeks later and it would be too late to have a primary so you could circumvent the democratic process, maybe you wouldn't be in this position. But you did it anyway.
He is very mad. I would say he's madder than normal, but this is his normal. This is Stephen A's normal. Stephen A goes on this like a rant. I've never seen Stephen A have a thing where he doesn't go on this rant. This is just his calling card. So you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. Now, what he's saying, I'm going to break down what he's saying because it's not fully wrong, but boy, is there a lot of ranting energy behind this. And some of the things he is saying is incorrect, and we're going to correct those things.
And now you want the American people to make up for y'all foolishness. You want the American people to sign off on that. Oh, now you will care about the Affordable Care Act. Now you care about the subsidies. Now you're paying attention to premium prices doubling come December 31st. Now you're paying attention to all of that, huh? How come you didn't do that before? How come you didn't focus on that before? This is what I'm talking about. I know the GOP's hands ain't clean in all of this. Mike Johnson delaying the process. Trump doing everything he can to create headlines everywhere else because he doesn't want us focusing on the Epstein files. We were born that night, not last night. You know what the hell is going on?
Well, all right. Okay. Boy, that's Stephen A, but that is Stephen A. You guys have not seen a video or clip or anything of the sort where Stephen A is not exactly like that. He is like that 100% of the time, all the time, every time. The thing that he said that is correct is that the Democrats, when they had Biden in office and they had the House and the Senate, they could have fixed all this. This could have been solved. This could have been a done deal. Could have, but the Democrats didn't allow that to happen. They didn't fix the healthcare issue. The Obamacare, that gives a temporary solution, and they deliberately put a time limit. They put an expiration date on it, which was going to expire then. It was going to expire when it did. And now Trump doesn't want to do it no more. This is what they were doing. They put temporary solutions. They put Band-Aids on things that need stitches. And then you got to keep replacing the Band-Aids. And now they're saying, hey, the Republicans don't care. Neither do the Democrats on the situation. Not really. Now when he said the whole thing about immigration, now here you got to understand, we got to circle back. Stephen A, his family did immigrate here. Okay. So Stephen A's opinion on immigration is going to be a little bit different from us as foundational Black Americans. Listen, hold on.
Focused on that and the real issues instead of focusing on woke culture and camping. This is where I come back to. This is where Stephen A. Smith comes into play. Because what pisses me off to no end is that had you done your job prior to the election, this wouldn't have been necessary. Had you paid attention to the economy, had you paid attention to affordability, had you paid attention to safety in the streets, had you paid attention to our borders instead of having open borders, allowing Trump to make it look like we were being invaded, for crying out loud, because of the extreme with which he embellished illegal immigration being pervasive in this country. Had you...
Okay. No. That was not quote unquote embellished. That was not something that it was made to seem bigger than it was. No, we know for a fact it was there because we saw it. What are you talking about? Trump made it seem, he's making it seem as Trump exaggerated or we listened to Trump. And it was Trump who made us believe that all this immigration was a crisis in America. And it really wasn't that bad. It was really Trump who was, quote unquote, embellishing it. How are you going to say Trump embellished it when we saw buses? That's my question. Let me get all extreme like he did. I'm just playing. I ain't going to do all that. Okay. My voice can handle all the yelling that he does. But how are you going to say it's embellished? We saw buses, several buses, daily, day after day after day after day after week after week after week after month after month after month. How are you going to say that's embellished? When you've had Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, say, yeah, we're broke. Brandon Johnson say, yeah, we're broke. All of these places where they're at saying, hey, we ran out of money. They were spending millions and millions of dollars to the point where the city went into billions of dollars worth of debt. And you're going to say it's embellished, that the immigration crisis was embellished when we're seeing buses come after day after day after day? And the Democrats are even admitting this. Now, Stephen A is switching up. And this is the thing with Stephen A. Now, Stephen A, I will give people credit where credit is due. Because I'm like that. I'm solid like that. I will always give people credit where credit is due. There are parts where Stephen A is correct. But the thing is that Stephen A is towing the line. He's not calling it the way it needs to be called because he's towing the line. Stephen A is about his paycheck at the end of the day. So when it comes to if the truth hurts his pocketbook, he ain't going to say it. He's not. So he doesn't want to cross the line and make it seem as if the Democrats are entirely wrong on immigration, and he knows they are. And he's not going to say that because his family are immigrants. So there's a little personal sensitivity to the situation. You understand? But no, the whole thing is, no, that was not, how was that embellished? If we saw it, if we went there and we saw police stations crowded with illegal immigrants, how was that embellished? Okay. But he was upset about it. Now, he is right. The Democrats didn't have a chance to fix it. They didn't. When Biden and Harris was in office, they had ample opportunity, especially when they first got in and they had Congress on their side. They had ample opportunity to fix healthcare issues, all of these other issues. They extend SNAP benefits, all of this stuff. I want you guys to think, why is it that the Democrats seem to do more fighting for our rights and for the working class when they're not in power? Yet when they are in power, you don't see them putting up nearly this much effort, nearly this much concern. It's not that important to them when they are in power. Now, when they're out of power, they become activists. They're outside doing press conferences. They're trying to make it like they're makeshift Dr. King when they're out of power. When they don't have control of something, then they come out and they talk about, we want HR 40 to be reopened up. All of this stuff. We want HR 40. We want more health care. We want more food stamps. We want more stuff for the working class. We want to tax the billionaires and the millionaires. They all say that when they're not in power. Yet when they're in power, it's business as usual. Same old, same old. That's because they're all politicians. And politicians lie. That's why. Politicians lie. But you know who was also upset about that? Your man, Roland Martin. Roland Martin was furious about that. And Roland Martin is actually going above and beyond on multiple live streams. I can't even show them all. Roland Martin's going above and beyond to go after Chuck Schumer and suggesting that Chuck Schumer needs to go. And it was Chuck Schumer's fault that the 8 Senate Democrats, that they decided to vote in favor. That's what Roland is saying. What Roland had to say about it.
Democrats to replace Chuck Schumer. He couldn't keep his caucus. He couldn't hold his caucus. Is it time for Democrats to replace Chuck Schumer? He couldn't keep his caucus. He couldn't hold his caucus. Some believe that privately he sort of gave them the nod saying, I'll vote against it, but you guys go ahead and vote for it. Is it time for Democrats to have new leadership in the United States Senate?
Let me answer that this way. You have two responsibilities in that position. One, to be able to count the votes. The second part is to be able to hold your caucus together. And he has not been successful at being able to do that. I understand that it's a very challenging moment, challenging situations, but you should have enough cachet to be able to have those conversations with your folks and say, this is not the moment to do this. This is how we are going to move forward together as a whole caucus. And that's the responsibility of a leader.
Protections, shielding GOP senators from accountability. That doesn't make you a moderate. It doesn't make you a blue dog Democrat. It makes you a co-conspirator. It makes you a collaborator. And Chuck Schumer knows that. And Chuck Schumer didn't do anything to stop it, whether it was because he didn't have the power to stop it or whether he did have the power to stop it. And he was like, it's only 8. Like that rationale.
The 8 Senate Democrats and the damn leader, Chuck Schumer, they need to feel a little bit of pain too. Because let's be honest, let's keep it a buck. If they would have just continued to buckle down and hold the line, we wouldn't be back here. Our Senate Democrats, the Democrats in the House of Representatives under Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, were fighting with all they had to avoid this outcome. They told the line. They educated the American people. They had the support of not only Black America, but the entire country behind them. Polls were in their favor.
They had the support of who? They had the support of who? They had the support of Black Americans. Who said that? When do we decide to do a vote and say that they had the support of Black Americans? When did we decide to do that? They had the support of Black Americans. Who? I didn't vote on that. Did y'all vote on that? I didn't vote on that. When did we anonymously as a community decide to put our support behind the Democrats holding up the government? When did we do that? He said, man, they have the support of Black Americans. You're not our representative. Who says that? Oh, she just kind of threw that in there. They have the support of Black Americans. No.
To avoid this outcome, they told the line. They educated the American people. They had the support of not only Black America, but the entire country behind them. Polls were in their favor. Americans showed up in record numbers last Tuesday to make their voices heard when we had a blue wave across this country, and we won in places like Georgia and Mississippi that we didn't think that we would win.
Okay. Boy, and I'm telling you, all of the men who are upset about this are kind of moist. I'm just gonna call it. We gotta call a spade a spade. The whole blue wave, let's be honest, they did. I mean, they won every seat that they planned on, but they won in blue states. It's not like they won in red states. They won against, no matter what, the government being closed or opened again, they were likely to win anyway. They didn't win in red states. It's not like they flipped Texas or anything crazy like that. That's not what happened. So they were winning in states that were already blue. They were winning in seats that were already blue before. They didn't beat a Republican for real, but they're making it seem like, this blue wave. No, not really. It was like a blue riffle, I guess you could say. A wave, I think, is exaggerated, though. I wouldn't call it a blue wave.
Only to have 8 members of the Senate under Leader Schumer turn around, betray the American people, betray their party, and then say, we give up, we cave. For whatever reason they had to do that. So they need to feel a bit of pain too, and I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure they feel that pain. Give these people not a moment of rest. Yes, this is absolutely the fault of Republicans. Yes, this is absolutely the cruelty, the harm that they want to inflict. But in this situation, some Democrats have some blame too.
Easily one of the most recognizable members of Congress. And so she has a lot of energy around her. I think she still would have an uphill battle primarying and going after Schumer's seat. But I think if it happens organically, because if they will,
Cameron, you gotta make a decision. Cameron, you're saying if it happens organically, okay, if AOC runs, bruh, that ain't got nothing to do with none of this. It's either should the Democratic caucus Cameron, I'm gonna ask you right now. Here we are in late 2025. Should the Democratic caucus replace Chuck Schumer as their minority leader right now through next year? Yes or no?
No.
Got it.
And that's it. Yeah. No.
Okay.
And I think it's, like I said, it's
okay.
I don't think they can handle it.
I got it. All right, cool. All right.
I don't think we can handle
I got it. All right.
Okay. So
I
you
don't
see,
think we can
Roland
handle
is
him.
Well, we'll
upset
see what
about it.
happens.
Roland is out there talking about how he wants to.
Well, again, I don't know a lot of people that have trust in Chuck Schumer. I'm just saying that right now.
Now Roland is talking about it. Roland is saying that he wants to have Chuck Schumer replaced. Roland feels like Chuck Schumer should be replaced. That's what he feels. Let's be honest. Chuck Schumer is not going nowhere. He's not. Chuck Schumer is not going nowhere. Only the Democrat Shills think that the Democrats are not all in alignment with this. Okay? Only the Democrat Shills feel that way. That they're not all in alignment. Now, hold on. Okay. Let me say something. There's a couple of other things though. Can we switch gears a little bit? Because I want to get. We talked about the Democrats and all that stuff for a little bit, and when they say the whole thing about, and I want you guys to understand, these are people like the dude said. Black America is behind it. These are people who are falsely representing what we represent as foundational Black Americans. We are not behind the Democratic Party. Our interests are not in alignment with what the Democratic Party wants, okay? They're not synonymous. They're not in alignment because the Democratic Party doesn't want to do anything for foundational Black Americans. When I say FBA, I mean the ethnic group, the lineage, okay? Now, I know a lot of FBAs who are not into politics at all, and okay, they don't care about it. They don't want to have a conversation about it, and that's good. That's fine. Now, I talk about politics, as you guys know. We talk about politics here, but they don't. They're still FBA. FBA is not a political organization. There are some FBAs who believe in this religion, that religion. They got this sexuality, that sexuality, all of these things. They're different. It's a part of the lineage. We can't control who's in the lineage. There's some FBAs that I disagree with almost on everything. They're still FBA. That doesn't change them from being FBA. Now, a lot of the people who use the term FBA, we already understand what the lineage is about and all of that. That's why we use the term, because it's such a descriptive and powerful, distinct, exclusive term. So that's why we use it. So we are kind of all in alignment to that degree, even though, to be very honest, as the years go by, most Black Americans, FBA, are all starting to fall in sync. We're all synchronizing. You understand what I'm saying? This is why the Democrats are trying to make it seem as if the representative of foundational Black American or the representative of Black Americans agree with certain things. We don't. Okay? And I'm going to put this, because I saw this and I thought that this was a little problematic. So I'm going to show it to you all. This is something that we're going to see coming up next year. And this whole thing, what we've been doing pretty much all week long, has been preparing us and giving us the intellectual power and empowerment to go into the elections next year, because we already understand their shiesty tactics and their talking points, and they're going to try to manipulate people. Now, there are also agents who are not very politically active openly, but there are agents who are against the movement as well too, and I want to show that. Let me show you that, guys. This, I thought that this was kind of problematic, so let me show you guys this. Right, fair use. I already played the copyright disclaimer. I'm gonna just put it right here. Now, I don't know who these people are, but I did see this on Twitter, so I'm gonna play this right quick. Now, these are, and this ain't to be disrespectful, but these are, it appears to be Hebrew Israelites. Okay, so listen to this, y'all.
So I went on Twitter Spaces, right? And Twitter Spaces is a weird place when it comes to the FBA. But the weirdest experience I had was the FBA was allowing a transgender man to proclaim to be the queen of the FBA. Oh, my gosh. When somebody does something that we would accept as Black, but if they're Jamaican, if they're Haitian, if they're Dominican or something like that, you'll see Tariq say, this is a tether. But when this transgender man said he's the queen of the FBA, Tariq didn't say nothing. So I was thrown off of it, right? And so you said what?
And they voted.
Oh, right. That's right. I forgot. Wow. They actually voted. They took a vote and said that this man is the queen.
Right.
And so I had to.
Okay. Stop that. First off, there can be no queen or king of a lineage of people. It's not even a possibility. Anybody who says that shouldn't be taken serious in the first place. There's never going to be no queen of FBA. There's never going to be no king of FBA. Not officially. People might, I'm the king. I'm the queen. That's like saying you're the queen of African American. Nobody would make that term. Nobody would say that's a serious thing that we can consider. Nobody would say it's a serious thing to consider somebody being the quote unquote queen or king of Black Americans. Nobody says that. But when you say FBA, you're saying, well, you said you're the queen of FBA. That's not a possibility. It's not a possibility because FBA is a lineage. And the reason why you guys are trying to frame it as if there could be is because you guys want the narrative to go out that FBA is not a lineage. It's number one. Number two, nobody is saying that all Jamaicans, Nigerians, Haitians, anybody from the Caribbean, anybody from the continent of Africa, nobody's saying that all of you all are tethers. I'm not saying that. Tariq's not saying that. You all are not saying that. They're not all tethers. We all know that. Okay? Let's be serious. We know that they're not all tethers. We know that there's some riders, there's some solid people out there. We get that. Okay? And we can operate with them, we can work with them, we can be cool with them and all that stuff. But the thing is that when they are problems, when they participate in problematic behaviors, that makes them a tether. Notice that they don't have an issue when we call people Sambos. If we called Clarence Thomas a Sambo, a coon or whatever, nobody has an issue with that. Nobody has an issue with that at all, ever. Okay? I'm going to say this. What's crazy, and I want you guys to use this. Think about this. Before we knew Candace Owens' lineage, pull a picture up so we can have a good visual. Before we knew where Candace Owens' family was from, a lot of people used to call Candace Owens a whole lot of a bootlick, a bed wench, a Sambo, a tap dancer, a coon, all of these things. That was never an issue. That was never an issue. But the second we started saying, you know what, Candace Owens is a tether. Oh, whoa. You can't call her a tether now. Oh, no. Tether is too far. Oh, that's too much. You can't. Why are you calling people tethers? No. We've been calling. That's a part of our culture to be calling folk out when they do stuff against the community, when they do stuff against Black folk, when they're anti-Black. So all of these names that we have, whether that's Sambo, Uncle Tom, even though there's history with Uncle Tom, but Sambo, Uncle Tom, coon, tap dancer, bedwench, bedbug, all of these terms that we have is perfectly acceptable except tether. Tether is where it crosses the line. That's unacceptable. How dare you call somebody a tether? You can call people anything but a child of God, but a tether? How dare you? That's crossing the line. What? That's what we doing? That's where the line gets crossed? At the word tether? No. If they acting like one, then they are one. If it walks like a tether, quacks like a tether, it's a tether. It's a tether. They say walk like a duck, swim like a duck, quack like a duck. It's a duck. Move like a tether, think like a tether, from another place like a tether. Tether. Yes. And we're going to say that. And nobody blatantly says that about any and everybody who just happens not to be from America or whose lineage is outside of America. Nobody is saying that about all of them. But if they behave that way, then they should be addressed that way. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Then he goes on to say that, and that's because T.S. Giselle calls into the spaces every so often and is a troll. And nobody, not me, not Tariq, not you, nobody takes T.S. Giselle serious at all, ever. Nobody has. It's a troll. And Tariq, he goes back and forth with trolls. T.S. Giselle isn't the only troll that comes up there all the time. He has trolls coming up. He has white supremacists come up. He goes back and forth with some of the regulars, so to speak, right? That's not no serious thing where the lineage has voted that this person is the queen. What? But this is to make it seem as if FBA is dysfunctional, and he's trying to make FBA, I guess, look bad. He's attempting to do that, but it's not. No, it's not landing. It's really not. So let's get back to where we left off. We're just going to get back to where we left off. And I appreciate y'all patience. All right. Getting back to it. Here we go. Finishing this clip.
Reach number. So I texted him and I asked him about it. I said, I think the nigga's name was like Giselle, something with a G. I don't know the nigga's name by heart. So I asked him about it. And he said, it's a troll. And then he indirectly talked about me on a video where he says somebody texted him about it while he was eating and don't know why I'm texting him about it. And I'm saying to myself, when I'm texting you about it, number one, I was trying to give him respect. Maybe he wasn't aware of it. And I'm hoping he gonna tell me, nah, we don't stand with that shit because we about black man and black woman. I don't think a man that's supposed to be a Tariq ilk would endorse homosexual activity, let alone a man winning a vote to be the queen of the FBA.
Okay, and he keeps saying that the whole winning to be a queen of the FBA. Tariq told you it was a troll. You should be able to tell that. You should be able to tell that there is no queen of FBA there, and it wouldn't be T.S. Giselle anyway. You're only saying that because you don't really like the movement behind FBA. That's the real reason. So you're trying to find a way to be like, man, I had respect for you guys at a point in time, but now all of a sudden I lost all this respect for you guys because how could you let this trans person be the queen of your movement? That's what they're saying. Okay. It's really janky, and it's shade being thrown for the cause of the movement against the movement. All right, let's be abundantly clear about that. All right, there was another thing I wanted to show you guys, and once again, I want to thank you guys for sticking with us despite the technical little hiccup we had. Thank you guys for that. Let me show you guys this clip. Hold on. Go to my thing. Hold on. Come on now. No, that's not in here. It's in here. All right, right here.
African or African American?
Okay. Look at this. This is you already know the tether. Well, is Fat Joe. Fat Joe's like an honorary tether. What do you guys consider Fat? If we should have a vote, let's have a vote about something. What would you guys consider Fat Joe? Like an honorary tether, or because he's not black at all. He's lied about even being somewhat black. We've seen both of his parents. He's not black at all. He cosplay as FBA, kinda. Like he cosplays like he's mixed. He's a vulture. Okay, that's a good one. A vulture. He is a culture vulture. Okay, I think that's fair. That's fair. He's a culture vulture because you gotta be able to blend in to really be like a tether. You have to be a part of the race to be a tether. But he would be a culture vulture because he practices that behavior. I think that's fair. And yeah, chubby, fat. We always gonna keep fat there. He knows he's fat. He put himself as being fat. So fat. Okay. It's a lot of things. I mean, y'all give me names. Come on, give me names. It don't have to be just one. Come on, it don't gotta be just one. Y'all give me names. What should we? An agent? Okay, a culture agent. Okay, a parasite. I like that one. A culture of the tether vulture. Okay, that kind of goes together. Y'all give me names. I want names. But we got to play this clip now. I'm gonna make this kind of like this version because I don't want to copyright. I do this when I want to protect against things that I think might get copywritten. So I do it like this. But listen, this is Fat Joe. He has a podcast with Wale. He had an episode with Wale on it, and this is what he had to say.
Is you African or African American? I wouldn't even consider none of them beats Afro beats for real. They kind of like. I'm asking you a question. Is you African American or are you African? Is that I'm African. We all African. Yes, but I'm just saying the way you flowed on them African beats.
Okay. Now, when they say African American, he means foundational Black American. Wale is a Nigerian. Wale is from Africa. And this is the thing. Fat Joe knows that. I'm not in the hip hop world, right? I know a lot about hip hop, but I'm not in the hip hop world where I'm like going and meeting these people and in the studios and all of that stuff. And I know that. So if I know that and Fat Joe has him on his own podcast, Fat Joe knows that. Fat Joe knows he's an African. He knows he's Nigerian. Fat Joe is deliberately trying to do that because Fat Joe still has this beef because he lost against FBA. Fat Joe is still pissed off about that. He's so pissed off that he disrespected foundational Black American culture or a part of it, which is hip hop. Hip hop is a part of our culture, and he disrespected that, and we push back against that. And he, because of that, his, I guess, notoriety went down, whatever you want to call it. He got fired from BET. He claims he left, but he got fired from BET, hosting the BET Awards. Nobody's checking for Fat Joe. Nowhere Fat Joe goes does anybody check for. Fat Joe has lost all the steam he used to have because he disrespected foundational Black Americans, and we all know that. So Fat Joe is on this thing where Fat Joe is now dissing FBA any way he can. So he bought on Wale to ask, are you African or African American? Are you African or African American? Now, very interesting, because when we say there's a difference, they say, oh, no. We all get pulled over by the police. So since we all get pulled over by the police, any other differences doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that when the police pull us over, they don't know. That allegedly, they don't know. They can't tell. So besides that, nothing else matters. So why are you even asking him this? Are you African or African American? He repeats that. Then I want to get to Wale's response. I mean, aren't we all African? No. Listen to what I say. When I say no, that's not even to be disrespectful. It's not a diss. It's the answer. It's the correct answer. People need to stop. And I'm glad that we're working out of this where people are treating Africa as if it's a race. It's not. Africa is not a race. You are not racially African. Africa is a place. It's a continent. It is a place. It's a location. Okay? You are either from that location or you're not. That's not to be disrespectful. I'm not even throwing shade. I'm being very respectful right now. You're either from this place or you're not. It's very simple. We are not from Africa. We are from America. Yes, the Caribbeans are from the Caribbean. The Caribbeans are from the Caribbean. Caribbean. I'm sitting up there twisting. Okay? They're not from Africa. People who are from Africa have a lineage tied to Africa. Okay? It's not no distant, vague, separated lineage from a millennia ago. That doesn't count. Okay? Most of these people are at best second generation. Let's be honest. They got here after America was formed. They still have ties to their lineage. They never went through an ethnogenesis. I'm not even saying that's a good or a bad thing. It's just the truth. It's the raw truth. If we're from America, we're from America. We're from this land. We're from the nation we built. We're from America. You're from where your parents built. You're from everybody in the world. Can we say this? I can't believe that Fat Joe has us going over this thing again. Everybody, and this goes around the world, everybody is from where their ancestors are from. Point blank, period. That's just the way the world works. It's the way the world always has worked. It's the way the world works now. And it's the way the world will forever work. Because that's just what makes sense. Everybody's from where their ancestors are from. If your ancestors happen to go to another place and they build something else, then you're from the new place. Do you understand? Okay. 1 + 1 is 2, y'all. 1 + 1 is 2. Okay. So if our ancestors were in America, or the land that would become America, whether we were stolen, whether we were sold, whether we were here, don't matter. If our ancestors were on this landmass and built this nation, therefore, 1 + 1 is 2. Remember, we are from this nation. If our ancestors built America, then that means we are from America. There's nothing to debate. There's no exception to that. People be all like, well, hold on, well, there was a ship that, and none of that matters. None of it. If our ancestors built America, we're from America. Now, we can have a conversation about how we got here. We can have a conversation about all of these things, but that's the case. That is the case. All right. Somebody, they don't rush me in the chat room. Don't do that.
It was almost like you from Nigeria, not from Washington. I'm telling you the truth. You know what you did on that shit. My parents met at the University of DC, and they both came into America in early '80s. That's fired. Oh, so that's how it happened, because you sounded really authentic. See, I never did reggaeton because I'm like a New York Puerto Rican. And it would have sounded like Joe's trying to do that shit and he don't sound right. All right. You did it right. So in the middle of your album, I'm saying to myself, yo, is Wale African? I'm the one who always say everybody African. Don't do that shit to me. Where? I'm just telling you, you sounded African on this shit. My phone.
That's because he is. And Fat Joe knows that. And that's why Wale was able to do what he was able to do on that album. And I'm not even going to diss Wale. I'm not going to diss the album. I'm just going to tell the unapologetic truth. Wale can do that because that's the music of his people. Which is why you don't see FBA really tapping into Afro beats. That's not what we grew up listening to. We didn't grow up listening to that music from that region or whatever, or Afro beats or piano music or whatever. I'm not even being disrespectful about it. We just don't listen to that. We have our own music here. So they're able to really do that. Burna Boy, Wale, all of them, Tim's, all of them. Okay, cool. They're able to do what they're able to do because that's the music of their people. We have a different music. Now, Fat Joe, you just acknowledged that. He said, I can't do that. I would sound like a Puerto Rican. So you just acknowledged that you're different. How are you going to say you're just a Puerto Rican, but we're all African? How does that make sense? Because if we're all African, we should all be able to do that. But Fat Joe just contradicted himself because he said he can't do it because he's a Puerto Rican. So that means that there's a cultural difference that Fat Joe recognizes. And I want you guys to understand and use this as evidence. All of the people who say delineation is some harmful thing, it's a divisive thing, it's an evil thing, they all do it. They just don't want us to do it. They want delineation on their terms, but they don't want it on ours. Okay. All right.
Name is Oluba Wale. That's a Nigerian.
Oh, this the fuck I'm talking about.
You know, I think everybody.
Where is you at? You don't know this?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
He was too busy making street runners, man.
Yo, you crazy.
He was too busy.
Yo,
you made all them people. I'm sure you don't know what the fuck is going on outside Jamaican People Factory. You don't know what's going on, but yeah, I'm Nigerian. I was actually born. That's what I'm talking about, and that came out on this album, and done perfect, done incredible. Thank you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, come on now. No. Fat Joe, that's a sad excuse. That first off, I don't even know what you were trying to do with that. You sounded so African on the thing. Yeah, because he's Nigerian. And that's already been a known fact. It's not like it's something that's been hidden. Everybody knows Wale is Nigerian. That's why in his album, he's able to do all of that stuff. Okay. Come on now. Fat Joe is losing so much steam when it comes to music and FBA. But notice all of the shade that is being thrown towards us, and the shade that is being thrown towards us, circling back to the whole government thing, because foundational Black Americans, we didn't support the Democrats with the shutdown. We didn't. Okay? Because we already knew the play. We already knew that the Democrats are just as corrupt as the Republicans, and the Democrats wanted the government to be shut down so they can use it as leverage. They were using federal employees not being paid as leverage. They were using food stamps as leverage. They were using all of these things as leverage. They were. All right. And they know that. Now, Wale, let's be honest, if you're going to be now, I haven't seen anything of Wale besides that little off comment. I haven't personally seen anything of Wale being disrespectful or tetherish like towards foundational Black Americans. But my thing is that Wale, if you're Nigerian, that's cool. That's cool. But then you also need to address when Nigerians get out of pocket. That's my thing about Wale. I don't really dislike Wale. I haven't seen anything of Wale that I would dislike. I'm gonna be honest with you. So if that's the case, if you're gonna be cool, you gotta be cool all the way. That's all I'm gonna say. So if you're gonna be cool, then that means when Burna Boy, who also is Nigerian, when Burna Boy goes around talking about how we don't have no culture, Wale, I'm gonna need you to get on that. I'm gonna need you to say something about that, Wale. See, that's the thing. And let's be honest with you. I don't got no Wale Nigerian. Wale, I think Wale is he makes good music. I've heard some of his music. That's good music. Okay, no problem. Cool. My thing is that the cool ones, I need y'all to be riders too, not just cool. It needs to be at this point in time, it needs to be something more than you guys just not being disrespectful. I need you guys to be riders for real. Okay. Now, I'm not saying Wale needs to be an activist. I'm not saying Wale needs to talk about reparations all the time and reparations and a black hate crime bill and all of it. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying when there's some BS that's coming from his community in particular, I need Wale to stop that at the mud. I need Wale to cut that out, to stop them from that. Okay. So whether that's, what's his name, Emmanuel Ocho and his disrespect, whether that's Burna Boy and their disrespect, whether that's anybody else, especially and particularly coming from his community, Nigerians, okay? Be honest, Nigerians, y'all be wilding for real, okay? Y'all tethers be tethering for real, okay? But at top tier, okay? Even though the rest of Africa thinks so. So top tier, okay? So Wale, if you're gonna be cool, we cool. I ain't gonna dish you. I ain't gonna say nothing about you. But I just need you to be a rider. Don't be playing dumb, because that's whole thing. Wale, I'm gonna be honest with you. That ain't we all African? Don't play dumb, dude. Don't do that. Why are you playing dumb about it? You already know what the answer is. Ain't we all African? I was born in Nigeria, whatever he said. No. See, that's the thing with the cool ones. You gotta take them with a grain of salt until the full them comes out, because what they'll do, they'll be cool, but they don't want to address their people, so they'll play dumb. And if you too wishy-washy or on the fence, then I just gotta write you off. I'm not gonna even say you a problem. I'm just gonna write you off. I just gotta do that, because I'm gonna need you to be on business. I'm gonna need you to be a rider for real. That's what I need. Okay. And all this playing dumb. Well, I don't even really know. No, dude. I didn't like that. We got to stand on it the way we standing on it. Okay. Got to make sure y'all do that. I appreciate you guys for that. I can't believe that we had this little technical issue, but we did. Okay. We did. So what needs to happen is you guys need to make sure I got to do some editing tonight. Okay. And I will go live on TikTok later. So you guys want to follow me on TikTok for that. I think that's the first time I announced that on YouTube. So y'all make sure y'all follow. I'll also get some more YouTube content on this channel coming up. Okay. I told you guys at the beginning of the month that I'm working on something, that I'm working on more content for you guys, because I want the end of the year to be solid, super good. So I want to make sure that I give you guys good quality content. So I got more content for you guys coming up at the end of the year. So what I need from you all is to make sure that you guys hit this like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about the Democrats, their play to kind of reopen the government and act like Chuck Schumer wasn't involved. Let me know what you guys think about the damn Democrat Shills who are outraged about that. Roland Martin and all of them. Let me know what you guys think about that. What do y'all think about Fat Joe, Wale, or the other guy? Let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section below. With that being said, my family, I appreciate you guys for everything. You guys stick through with me. Thank you guys for that. You all have a good weekend. I will see you guys later. I will. You all stay blessed.